G'day everybody, here's the part 2 of the Mandalorian Diorama build. As you know, done this funky graphic, so I thought I'd use it again. Today we're going to cover the installation of the door and the stuccoing, mini rendering of the outside of the building to look like the actual images that I've got from episode 5. So because I do everything twice, I've sort of sometimes fast forwarded through it, but I wanted to, there's just lots of time, it's hours and hours and hours that it's taken me to do it. So putting the door together, I found out after I'd done the first one that I needed to strengthen it. So I cut out some extra, a corner piece and some other little flat bits to reinforce behind the door when it finally goes on behind. So the first step is to take the building that we've put together. When we left, it was cramped. The door jamb was cramped around the edge, and it's finished being gluing. So the first step is to put the building back in place, so that when we put the little end mount on, we can actually line it all up to the face of the base, because it extends down past the building to seal off the end of it, so it's not just some random empty space on the diorama, and to make it look a little bit more finished if you see it from that end. So first thing is to put the piece of board on, to mark where it goes onto the edge of the building, so that you can that I can put the glue around only in that bit, and also to mark out the notch that's going to have to be taken out of it, so that the door goes across it, but it doesn't extend past the door. Otherwise you'd have a door that's got a extra sticky outy bit on it, which wouldn't make sense. I've used very thin medium density fiberboard, MDF, for this end piece, but it was fine to cut and score it and cut it with a Stanley knife, so I've just cut that little bit out. Put it back on, make sure against the lines that I've marked that the door is in the right place, that the hole is in the right place, and then when all that's done and fine, unscrew the building again and we get into actually assembling it. So unscrew it, get everything out of the raid, make sure all of the sets stay together. Because I've got two sets, I wanted to keep all of the bits together, not because one set's better than the other, but because I've already pre-drilled the holes. So I'm trying to keep track of everything that belongs to everything. So some gluing the little bits in that will go beside the doorway, so that when I glue the door in, they can reinforce it. Let them dry and put some liquid nails around the outside of the building. Then I'll put that piece on. Now I cramp it in place before I nail it, just so that it absolutely stays where it is when I'm nailing. Just using little brad nails. So good cramp, get it in place. Only a couple of nails in. There's not a lot of timber to stick it to. It only overlaps slightly on the walls and the roof, and the roof is already thinner than the walls when it gets there. So it is quite tricky in where you place your nails. I only put 3 in just to give it a go. Make sure it stays there. The glue is going to hold it on. This is not going to ever get the abuse that some of the game boards and things that I've built might have done, so I'm not putting massive amounts of nails in. It's mostly just to keep it in place. It helps if you put it in the right place, of course, because again, there's a very thin line there, so get it in the right place, hammer it on an angle, and then there we have it. So nails in. It's really secure now. The nails probably would have been enough without the glue, and the glue would be enough without the nails, but this means that I can keep going with the next bits. So now you've got the board on. It's a matter of gluing up the door that we've already prefabbed. So across the bottom, up the edges for meeting with the door jamb, and then along the back edge for going across that bit that we just cut out from the side wall bit. Place that in there, get it all squared up, make sure that it's all sitting across all the bits that it's got to sit across, and button up against all the bits it's got to butt up against. Then I can glue those 2 extra bits of cardboard that I've done. The first one to glue across the back edge, which keeps it stuck down. There's already 2 little pieces of cardboard in there to build up for the width of the cardboard, and then the corner one will glue it to the face edge of the MDF and make that join there really, actually quite strong. So this is actually the second one. The first one that's lying in the foreground there has already been done, but because, as I said, I don't want to keep making super extended videos just to show you in super fast motion what's going on, I'm just going with the second one now. I noticed that there was a little bit of gap, and I was a bit worried about the way that it looked against the door jamb. So a little bit of PVA glue, and then I'm using a brush to take out the excess so that it doesn't disguise all of the detail from the cardboard detail. A couple of close-ups coming up showing you just inside the box where the extra supports are glued in. So on the photo, the bottom bit is the straight one and the top bit is the angle, and then just the glue section that shows you when I did the glue with the brush. So there's the extra supports I've put in there to make that really strong so the door can't be pushed through, and then there's what the glue looked like, but when it was finished drying you can't see it, and that'll make for a good painting up thing. Now we'll come up to the second half of today after some photos, and this is stuccoing. So got both the buildings done. This is just Parfix rapid filler. So if you've got, I don't know where you are in the world, but in Australia there's a brand called Parby Chemicals. They make Parfix products. You could use one of any rapid filler. So it's just a filler for when you're filling in holes in your walls, plaster, gyprock walls, or any of those sorts of things. That dries in 20 minutes. I'm just going for the fast one, not because I need the fast dryingness of it, but just because I want the light. It's a very light filler, so painters call it fairy floss sometimes because it's really, really light. This is where I filled in those. First things was to fill in the screw holes on the back, and then I went with my finger and pushed it into the side of that buttress. Then it's a matter of putting it on really thin, and then if you stick your spatula flat on it and lift it up and it pulls up peaks, and then very lightly go across it with your spatula, it drags down like a scratch pattern on an actual render, textured render that you see on the side of buildings. So it was just a matter of applying it on thick enough for each of the places, not too thick on the faces of the buttresses. Try and use your imagination a little bit to where it would be put on as an Adobe render if it was on the building. And then just, like I said, put the face edge of your spatula on it and then pull it up so it sticks to the spatula and comes away a bit, and then you drag it down and that'll give you a texture similar to this. So that's where it came out. You got scratches in it and you got bits up, and when it's painted it seriously looks like render. I was really, really chuffed. I thought it was going to, but I am gratified that it certainly did. So that's just a photo. Now it was the wall. It's the same process for the wall, and it's the same process for both things that I did. Again, I've given you the fast version of it just so that you can see it's not rocket science. It's got its own little tricks and things to it when you're plastering on. You can actually do this on proper buildings. You can use it to do a fake stucco, which is where I first saw it, using a light filler to actually do a pretend render on your walls when you haven't got block walls. So that's the wall with the pull bits and then drag down. Do the second one, then away we go, zip, zip, zip. So same thing, fill in the holes, plaster it on, and do it all. Now the second building, because this has been months in the planning and I've had 3 other projects that jumped in line, the first of the 2 buildings actually had been pre-assembled thinking that there was going to be long video, and I had already sanded the edges, and when I did the stucco on this one and when it had dried I realised that I looked at the 2 buildings, hang on, what's different about those? Well, it was the fact that one was already pre-sanded and the other one wasn't. So there's another couple of seconds here just at the end of this when I finish this wall showing you sanding the edge of the building, but that was only because I forgot to do it when it was firstly assembled before I'd started doing any of the fancy stuff on it. So it was a little bit tricky. I wouldn't recommend sanding it after you've stuccoed it, mostly because of the angles, but it's certainly possible to do it. And that's it there. I just had to watch which angle I was putting on so I didn't sand off any of the things that I didn't want sanded off. But after I'd done this, the second one looked exactly the same as the first one. So that's it for today. The actual build has progressed, but there's hours and hours of video. The next video is actually the beginning of the painting and the assembling of all the heads onto their stalks. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I really hope it inspires somebody to have a go. As I've mentioned before, I do have a Redbubble page, a Redbubble shop, Manny and Peach on Redbubble. If you want to buy some designs, we take a lot of time between the two of us in making our designs, and I think they're fun. Every little bit helps. If you feel like buying yourself a shirt, I'd love that. If you feel like buying yourself a sticker, I appreciate that. If you need any help or if you'd like to contact me about anything, just use the email address in the link, and there's links for descriptions for some of the products and things that I use. So thanks for watching and have a really great day.